Weeds are kind of like that friend that you really don't want to hang out with, but you have to anyway. They're going to show up in your lawn, they're going to drive you crazy, but at the end of the day, you'll get rid of them. What is up, my friends? Welcome back to Budget Lawns. I appreciate you being here. Today we're going to talk about a few steps you can take to make sure when you spray that post-emergent herbicide on your lawn that you kill the weeds and they don't come back. As many of you already know, this is a new construction, new Bermuda sod lawn. It wasn't laid too very long ago. We're starting to come out of dormancy, but we are not quite all the way there yet. And that brings me to tip number 1. Look, if you got weeds to kill, just be patient. Wait until the weather warms up. My preferred product is Spectracide Weed Stop for Lawns plus Crabgrass Killer. Always had great results with it in the past, but I waited until later in the spring when things had warmed up. The weeds were still very actively growing, and I had a lot of weed surface to attach that product to when I sprayed it. All right, so that brings me to tip number 2. Don't mow the lawn right before you spray your weed killer. You want those weeds to be pretty big in size with a lot of weed surface, leaf blade to attach onto. That way it works its way from the leaf blades down into the roots and kills the plant there, increasing your chances of it not coming back. Okay, so if you got to mow the lawn, wait a few days, then apply your post-emergent herbicide so you have plenty of leaf blade for it to work off of. Okay, that's step number 2. Step number 3, wait to mow your lawn even longer than you normally would. Don't rush to it thinking you have to mow the lawn right away. If you mowed it, waited a few days, then sprayed your application of post-emergent herbicide, wait another 3 or 4 days until after you think it needs mowed. The longer that stuff can work its way down into the root system before you cut the leaf blades of the weeds off, the more likely it will be to kill it and not leave anything left for it to grow back in. All right, but you don't want to wait too late into the season where the weeds are starting to get stressed or die out on their own, because they will be less likely to take up that product and kill them. So this is really all about timing. You're trying to time when you mow and when you spray. Okay, make sure it's warm. I like it to be nice and warm. Make sure you haven't mowed in a few days. Want a lot of leaf blade for that product to attach onto to work down into the roots and kill the weed plant. And then when you think it's time to mow again, wait a few more days to mow again. Let that product have more time to work down into the plant and do what it's supposed to do. Now, you also want to make sure it can be as dry as possible for as long as possible. Don't spray this stuff when you have rain right in your forecast. You know, usually you want it to be dry for at least 24 hours, but if you can get longer periods of dry weather, then by all means, take advantage of that. And of course, look, we would always love to prevent the weeds from coming into our lawn with a post-emergent herbicide or a pre-emergent herbicide, but weeds are just one of the things you got to deal with in lawn care, and I have found that these are the most effective ways to get rid of them once they do come up. And going back to the new sodded lawn, I've told you before, if you follow it along for any length of time, that just because you get new sod, it does not mean that you are going to not have to deal with weeds. I have plenty to prove my point. Most of what I'm dealing with are broadleaf weeds, which I know I can take care of. Now, will I take care of them in the fashion that I just described to you this season? Probably not. Kind of want this lawn to be pretty organic and chemical free for at least the first year or first season maybe. I haven't decided yet. I may do some test spots for you to see how those work out. But when it comes to all this field grass you're seeing work its way into the lawn, that is probably the result of this area on top of the retaining wall not being prepped properly before the sod was laid. I'm sure a lot of the seeds from out in the field found their way into the soil up here, and now what we're seeing is them germinating and working their way up through the sod. And that's okay. We will take care of it, but these may be a little bit more difficult because they, if I've done my research correctly, will not react to a selective herbicide. These will need a non-selective herbicide, which would be harmful to the Bermuda. So I can either do that next year when it's dormant and has gone through a growing season, or I'm going to try to mediate or limit the problems I see from the field grass just by mowing often, mowing low, which it does not like. And then when I get on to my regular pre-emergent schedule, which I lay an application down in September, one after the first of the year, and then one in the spring, that over time, that consistency will keep the seeds from the field from germinating in my lawn, and we can rid this whole thing of this field grass over time. Now it's going to be tough because this is tough grass and I have no idea what it is. I have not been able to identify it. If you think you know what it is, leave me a comment down below because I sure would like to know. But it's really only in that top part. Everywhere down low, got some poa, got some dandelions and some other broadleaf weeds that without a doubt we can zap with that Spectracide. All right, y'all. Hope that helps steer you in the right direction to get rid of those friends. I mean weeds that are just driving you crazy. But remember this, most of the weeds you're seeing in your lawn this time of year during the spring, they're going to be gone when it gets hot anyways, especially if you are in a warm season turf climate. The poa, the dandelions, all this other stuff you're stressing about, once it gets hot outside, that heat is gonna take care of your weed problem for you. But if you just can't wait until then, those simple tips will help you do it and be successful right now. Again, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.